So hi everyone. So thanks a lot for being here today. So today we're going to speak about developer relation in the AI era, meaning now we all use all those AI tools in like our day-to-day basis. And so as a DevRel, it impacts a lot how you teach developers, right? Because now developers are all using AI, so you can't teach them the same thing. So a very quick note about me. So okay, it's not the updated slide actually, but it's all right. So I work mainly on MetaMask. And Linear. So I'm DevRel at Consensys. I've been involved in the industry for a few years. So I think my first ETC was ETC 4. So and it's the first time I'm speaking. So I'm quite happy to speak today at this event. So yeah, I really love to connect with people. So I'm always I will give you my Twitter at the end of the presentation. If you want to speak about me, about anything, anytime, you just ask me. I'm also around at every conference, almost every conference, all the time, with Francesco, which is also the head of DevRel at Consensys, which is just here. So yeah, and I'm teaching master students, so computer science class in a university in Paris. And so yeah, so that's why I'm trying to take ownership of the education topic, because I think it's very interesting. So it's very quick agenda, so we'll see all those parts. But the first one will be the DevRel state of art, which is what we're doing today, basically. So what Dev looks like today is we mostly spending our time writing documentation, tutorials, and workshops, and collect feedbacks from developers. So that takes a lot of time, right? We're spending a lot of time writing all those tutorials. And what we will see is now developers, they don't really read those tutorials anymore. It's more prompting the AI to read the tutorial for them. We also doing a lot of product marketing community. Depending on your company, you will have different narrative. There is DevRel, developer relation engineer and developer relation advocate. So it's very two different stuff. So a developer relation advocate is what I'm doing right now, advocating, speaking in public for the company on the company product, but also on can be multiple things. The developer relation engineer will it will more be closer actually to a Web 2 developer relation, which is doing playgrounds, so technical product in the documentation, and very, very technical stuff. So it's a mix of both, but depending on the company, you will have one, more or less. And so, yeah, so we're supporting developers, so we're doing all of that. And the main expectation of developers now, it's actually not what it was a few years ago. A few years ago, it was to understand, you helping them. But now it's more, they're more demanding, I would say. So they want 24/7 support, instant support, and also to being able to code very fast. They don't want to take the time. I mean, specifically junior developers, right? I'm speaking a lot about junior developers here. Sometimes they want to go as fast as possible, ship as fast as possible, especially if you see in the startup environment, it's very important. The time to market is reducing over the years. So they want and also they want to, when they code fast, they also want not to fail, right? So they want you to be the insurance that they will not fail, even if sometimes it's quite tricky, right? You can't really guarantee that someone will not fail just by providing advice, right? And so yeah, so now we have this full new AI paradigm, which is developers are using LLM on a daily basis. I think there was this Stack Overflow. There is a Stack Overflow survey every year. I think it's still running for this year. Last year, they were saying 80% of developers were using LLM weekly. I think it's maybe 90% daily, right? It's not even the weekly anymore. We're all using it. I'm using it a lot. But the thing is that raise a lot of vibe coders, right? So I have a very good example, which is this conference. I saw someone went to see me, was yeah, can you help me with my code? It's not running, can you check? And so we just opened the cursor, right? And then on the cursor tab, there was 1.3K problems in the problems tab, right? And they were there is no way I can fix your code in 2 minutes and your code will run. But that's because the AI is suggesting people new things all the time, right? It's not AI is not just doing what you're asking the AI to do. The LLM will suggest you do you want also to add this feature? And the problem is if you never learn how to structure your mind like in a computer science school, basically you will say yes all the time. You will, oh yes, this is a nice feature. So you will end up. So this guy, I think, end up with like 150 pages of code in a super complex framework, and he never coded his life, right? So, and he was like, I was like, did you try to run it when you developed something? He was like, I mean, I tried at the beginning, and just the boilerplate, and it was running. I was like, yeah, but like since then you had like 150 pages, so there is no way it would work, right? And so yeah, and so you have the same problem with the student. Basically, it's like students when you teach them something now, it's like if they're not forced to like think by themselves, they will like just use a GPT, Claude, and Gemini, and you can say like whatever you want about like you will need to like this. For example, there is one workshop that I'm running in this university is like you have to code a cryptographic library, and so you need to use a specific curve. And I'm saying to them, you need to use this curve, and ChatGPT is using another one, right? And I'm saying to them like ChatGPT will give you another one. Don't use the. You still have like maybe like what 50% of the class which is doing something else. So just sometimes I'm just disappointed. I'm just like okay, like whatever, right? So then you need to re-explain it. But yeah, and so they like people. So in your context, they don't read documentation anymore. So they just prompt it. So when you write your documentation, you need to think about like what will be the best? How can I improve my like AI SEO? Like SEO now, it's like you need to think of new ways to like push your products. I just had a talk with someone which was very interesting. It's like now what they're doing, like if you ask, for example, recommendation about like a chain, like the AI would choose, for example, like a random Reddit post somewhere, like someone in the comments mentioned the chain. So what you can do also is like you put your chain into this kind of place, and so next time you're prompting the AI will maybe search there and like prompt your chain at the best place, or like your docs as the best docs or something like that. So it's very funny, like you can trick them in like multiple ways, and so it's complete new learning that we all have to do as DevRel to like understand how can we like market and push our documentation and our technology. So yeah, so LLMs, I mean, there is obviously a lot of advantages. I mean, we can pass very quickly. Like, I think the biggest one is like the instant answers. When I'm sleeping, when the DevRel team in Consensys is like maybe like 8-10 people, right? So we can't be like 24/7 available, right? Like, I mean, I'm here at the conference. I can't like debug someone on Telegram or like. So it's very useful for developers when they want to like try something and you're not here. And also, like when you do code scaffold, like when you create like a small workshop, for example, I found it very useful to create workshops. It's like if you want to create a new example, which is like a little bit funny, like you can basically like create a new workshop every time because it doesn't take a lot of your time now to like bootstrap a project from like 0 to 1. If it's not a production project, like don't do that for like a production project. Please test your code. Don't do like those kind of like AI vibe code companies that like raise a few millions now and just like after like a few weeks you have the database online. Like we saw a few. Like best example was like a casino. I think a few days ago they just like implement a front end check but not a back end check on some rewards. So they just got drained all the money, right? So please don't do that. I think if someone wants to launch a company like auditing those kind of people, I think there is a huge market to do that. Yeah, and so like the AI is also like you pair programming now, so you can ask question and force basic question will answer quite well. But the problem is like the AI doesn't have the architecture thinking that you need to have as developers when you're trying to like do like a project. You want to, you basically need to say like. I want to do this specific thing, so you need to think about the architecture before, and then you need to like put it pull it in the AI, so the AI will be able to like give you like the best structure. Because if you don't do that, it will use like a random framework to do like a random thing. Like for example, there was a very good example of like you have hackathons project all the time that I'm judging, and they're using like those super complex, like way to do like CSS with like all the dash and everything, like to implement like I don't know, like few hundred CSS class and you just like it's a hackathon project. Like you just have like one pager and you have like 300 CSS class, and it's AI prompted. It doesn't really matter, but just like for the complexity, when someone like want to continue the code after, most of the time you have to restart it. That's the only problem. One of the problem now is like if you have like two people who just like vibe coders and one wants to reuse the other people code, you can't really do it. And for super high context project, so I mean, obviously some of our repository at Consensys, I mean, you can technically use AI everywhere, but like for small part, right? You can't really say, okay, I will run on all the company repository, like an AI thing. Like you can put everything in the context, right? The context, you have enough context now with AI. You have like maybe, I don't know, like 1 billion tokens in context now. You can put a lot. But it will not be accurate at all, right? Because it's a mashup of like mix of like a bit of everyone codes, and so everyone is coding differently, right? So then at the end, you will have like a random answer every time. It's like a random type of code, and sometimes some mixed type of code, so it not end up well. So yeah, and so I think we have a big education problem now, because this year was the first year of like the full GPT student generation. The Master 2 students who went out of university this year, they are full GPT students, so meaning that they start their study like in first year of bachelor with this ChatGPT, and they end up like, and so they had this GPT for like the full studies, and so that caused a big problem, which is like in 3 years, because you know, like it takes like 3 years, like developer generation, it's like 3 years, and so I think in 3 years we'll have a big problem because the developer will go on the market that we will try to hire and that we will work with as a DevRel. Will have some different, I mean, it will be very different developers. And so there was these studies by the MIT that got published very recently. It's not a very good studies because the testing sample is very small, like it's 100 people. But they run like a full like cerebral test, like when people were like prompting or not with ChatGPT. When they were trying to do a task, so they had like a task to do, they're prompting with ChatGPT, like multiple different tasks and stuff. And so they saw like there was a 80% drop in the brain activity when you're using ChatGPT in all sectors of your brain. Yeah, and so that's the biggest problem is like if you had your full studies like this, then you have no way like you will be able to like conceive like a proper like a production code for like something which is more complex than a boilerplate or like just a workshop example, right? And so yeah, like they rely on LLM to get things down. But yeah, like with that logic, you can debug. Like I was very surprised, like that we have juniors developer who never use a debugger. So meaning like I have some people that I have in Master 1 student, and it's not a school problem, right? I won't mention the school. Like, this school is like top 20 school in France, very good school. Like it's not a school problem. It's like everywhere. Like there is like those people, they never use like the C, they don't know how to put like a stop point on this a C program, right? So those kind of thing. And that's because when they have a problem, they just like say, hey, like AI, can you fix this, right? And so then the AI will like try to fix it. And so, yeah, like it just doesn't work. And they think about architecture after as well. So meaning like they're prompting the AI is like producing something. And then they were like, oh, yeah, there is, I mean, the AI, I don't know, use like Next for the front end and Nest as a back end. And they don't need it, right? Sometimes, most of the time, they don't need it. Like the AI will just randomly choose like a database for you. We choose like, I don't know, if you like a relational, need a relational database and it use MongoDB, like it will never work. But they don't know it, right? Because they never learn. And so I think we really need to like find a way to like, like help those developers, because right now we don't risk to raise dev like war. Like there is a few typo on the slide because it's the previous version, sorry. But yeah, like we raising developers, right? It's not a risk anymore. Like all those developers that got like educated in the last few years, most of them, like they code in a very like specific way, which is like a vibe coding stuff. Yeah, so like they can't ship like a production thing now because you will have so many mistakes. They need a senior developers. Like if you hire a junior developer now, they need a senior developer all the time. And so as a DevRel, I think it's we need to like find a way and so like fix this, right? Like, and so when I say fix this, don't do that, right? Because otherwise you will have to do that after because it will not work, right? So like there is a typo here, but like like we won't fight AI, right? Like there is no point, and I think AI is very useful for a lot of things, but we need to teach developers how to think with it. So yeah, there's a number of messed up as well. But yeah, like so basically what it means for DevRel is like you need to curate AI tools, not just contents. So what it means, like, for example, I run like a full exploration for like on the linear documentation, right? For some basically AI for the documentation, right? So you try to find the best AI tools to help developers for self-serving documentation. And so for that, what you do is like you need like someone who know like it. So you basically take like 50 questions, you take like 4 different or like, I don't know, like 10 different providers, and you run through all the questions, you go through all the questions, and then you say like, okay, it's like this one, what's the accuracy on this one? So I found very interesting, like there is very interesting companies like Cookbook and Kappa, was like almost 100% accuracy on the answer, and the questions were very tricky, like trust me, I did like very tricky question. But some other company, like the accuracy was like 30%. And so that matters a lot, like, because if you have in your doc like an AI which is like 30% accurate, then you probably have like 50 more questions a day, right? And so you need to curate those things for developers. You also need to teach them how to prompt. So I don't know if you saw like a very recent like Biddle Giddle workshop, but before like Austin and Kevin used to like teach like with scaffold this and then you coding and everyone was coding, right? But now what they're doing, because they know developers will do that, it's like they teach them how to prompt. They go directly with cursor and they say, okay, so I'm doing the scaffolding stuff, and they teach them how to prompt, and that's what they're doing in the workshop now. So I think we all need to adapt in the way we're doing that. Otherwise, like developers, yeah, they will not just like just to please us. Like maybe they will try to code without an AI, but as soon like junior developer, as soon as they can, they will go back to the AI, right? Also, like, yeah, bringing back peer learning. I think that's something every company will have to do at some point if we really want to like nurture like junior developers when they will join the company. We will need senior developers with them. I don't know for how much time. It will depend on the people, but we will need to have like someone who like teach them really like the architecture side, because as long as you have the architecture side, like people who learn, like I learned code on paper, right? I had an exam code on paper, C++, C on paper with like the indentations. It's completely mad. Like, you don't really want to do that, but at the same time, it forces you, like for real, like to learn all the logic, because you need to think before you write on your paper what your function will look like and like how many lines you will have and everything. And so, yeah, like we need to not. I don't say we need to do that. Like, and I don't think there is a point doing like learning like all those loops, algorithm structures that we make developers learn. But at least for the architecture side, you really need someone to like teach them that, like like very close, right? You just sit on the chair and you teach them. And yeah, like so teaching and promoting code architecture, I think is very important. And so for all like like learning paths, if you have like if you are a company like doing for developers like tutorials for developers, academy for developers, I don't have the solution for this one like online, but like we really need to think of a way to like put checkpoints to make sure like people got it, like people got what we try to teach them. And yeah, like so DevRel isn't just like docs and talks like this, right? I think it's yeah, like we trying to teach like developers like multiple things, which is like a structure, like or technology, but also yeah, a structure of code, and like because you don't want to have 100 projects on your chain or like getting hacked because the code is bad, right? You also need you want like good project if you can. So yeah, we really need to try to find new ways, I think, to teach developers. So yeah, I try to give a few examples, but we can talk in depth about it. So this is mostly for the people online. If they want to contact me, if you're here, you can just directly speak with me. And yeah, if you have any question, I'm happy to answer. Oh, you have? Okay, I have to go back if you want. No, but like... Perfect. Yeah, if someone has any question, happy to take any question.
Hello, thank you very much for this presentation. You said that we are growing developers that they don't know what they do at the end. I believe that the academic community, they should stop that. They should not give degrees to students who do not understand what they do. And the companies should not hire engineers that they don't know what they do.
It's, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So since you are a professor at the university, I guess that
Yeah,
that
like
is a place to use
that's a
it.
huge topic. So that's something I was thinking of doing. Like it's like problem is like it takes a lot of time, but I, I was like, can I try to push like some new way to learn? But in France, it's very hard. In the US, there is something interesting called I think Alpha School, which is like completely different stuff. They just have 2 hours of class, and just after that, it's just workshop with people, like completely different. Because they figured out like like degrees, classic degrees, something that not. Because the problem is like you can't really like, I mean, unless it's on paper, you can't really like, like stop people from cheating with like all those like, I mean, Cruelly, all those kind of company we also on Twitter, right? It's very hard to do that. So like people will always use the AI in interviews. Like a lot of people are cheating in interviews now, right? So, and then you figure it out only when the guy is in the company. That actually is very bad, right? Because you can't, I think companies might have, it might be a good idea to like do on-site interviews now with like, at least like not paper code, but like architecture, like you just like, for example, I pitch like, I don't know, I want to create a website so we can have like the agenda for ETC speakers or something. Like, oh, you will architecture that considering there is like, I don't know, like 500 speakers and you have like 15,000 attendees and like what's the load balancing or whatever. I think it will be interesting to do that. But yeah, like for universities, that's a discussion that public schools don't have yet. Private schools are starting because private schools there is a lot of money involved, so they have like a very strong interest, like still keeping the pace. But I think there is a complete huge need. Yeah, I'm working a lot on that, but it takes a lot of time to push that to like academic people, because when you spend like 15 years of your time like doing this academic process, you don't want that 3 years after.
It's time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Very great presentation. We will go on to the next one.